Okay, this is some four-voice practice at 210 words per minute. We have Mr. Brazelton for the people and Mr. Grisey for defense. I am attorney for the people, Mr. Brazelton.
I'm the witness.
And the court. Attorney for defense, Mr. Grisey. And it's a court for the record. Is it still 15 or 14? Court for the record. All right, this is a case of People versus William Marvin and Stephen Lawrence Schmidt. Mr. Marvin is present with his attorney, John Grisey. Mr. Schmidt is present with his attorney, Fred Small. The people are represented by Jim Brazelton. Also present is Detective McFerrin, who you wanted to designate as your investigating officer. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Any motion to exclude witnesses in this case?
Yes, Your Honor, I so move.
Any witnesses in this case, excluding the investigating officer, are excluded from the courtroom until you're called in to testify. Do not discuss your testimony with anyone else until you're called to testify. Any witnesses here are Marvin and Schmidt. You've got them all outside. Call your first witness.
People call Lori Dodd.
Are both sides ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, ready for Mr. Marvin?
Would you state your full name and spell the last, please?
Lori Dodd, D-O-D-D.
How do you spell Lori?
L-O-R-I.
Mrs. Dodd, where do you live?
I live at 381 Turlock.
Ma'am, could you speak into the microphone, please? Cliff, fix that microphone. You've got to speak up so we can all hear you.
381 Turlock.
Mrs. Dodd, on July the 17th of last year, where did you reside?
216 Imperial.
Is that in the city of Modesto?
Yes.
County of Stanislaus?
Yes.
And were you at that residence at about 8:20 p.m. on July 17th?
Yes, I was.
Did something in your home happen at that time?
Yes.
Could you tell me what that was?
2 men walked right into my house and had a gun to my head.
What were you doing at 8:20 p.m.?
I was doing dishes
In what part of the house?
in the kitchen.
And is this a single-family residence?
Yes.
And who else was there with you, if anybody?
My husband, Richard, and my 2 boys.
And where was your husband?
He was out in the backyard cleaning the backyard.
And how old are your boys?
1 is 2 and 1 is 4.
And where were they?
They were out there too.
And you said 2 men walked in the house?
Yes.
How did you become aware of that?
I just turned my head and saw them walking toward me.
And what happened next?
I just hollered for Richard.
And do you see those 2 men in court today?
Yes, I do.
Could you point them out, please?
That one and that one.
She's identified the defendants.
You indicate that there was a gun?
Yes.
Could you describe that gun?
It was silver plated, I think. I don't know too much about guns, so I don't know what kind it is.
Did both those people have guns, or?
No,
Which one had a gun?
this one here.
Which one?
This one.
Would you describe him?
The one with the black hair.
With the black hair?
Yes.
In the middle here?
Uh-huh.
All right, she's identified Mr. Schmidt.
Where did he have that gun?
Pointed at me.
Well, was it in his hand?
Yes.
Which hand do you recall?
I do not remember.
What happened when he came in the house with the gun? Did he say anything to you?
Not that I remember.
Do you remember any conversation at all?
He just told us to lay face down on the floor.
Okay, did he ask you for anything?
Money and guns.
I'm sorry.
Money and guns.
And which one of the defendants asked you for money and
The
guns?
same one I just said.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
And what happened next?
Well, the other one told my oldest boy to go out in the backyard and get my youngest. He was out there crying, and when he started walking out the door, the other one pushed him back down, pushed him down.
Pushed who down?
My oldest boy.
You said at one point you yelled for your husband.
I hollered for Richard.
What did Richard do, if anything?
He turned around and saw what was going on.
What happened then?
He came in the house.
And what happened after that?
They told him to lay face down on the floor too.
Did you lay on the floor?
Yes.
Did your husband lay on the floor?
Yes.
Excuse me, who pushed your oldest boy down?
The black-haired one.
The one in the middle?
Yes.
You say Mr. Schmidt had a gun to your head.
Uh-huh.
How far in your head?
Wait a minute. What is your answer?
Yes.
She can't take down uh-huhs and uh-uhs, nods of the head.
I'm sorry.
How far away from your head was the gun?
Well, it was pointed right here.
Record reflect the witness is pointing at her right chin or jaw area.
Yes.
A distance of maybe an inch.
So reflect.
And did he say something when he had the gun to your jaw?
No, he told my husband to get in here, get in the house.
He was talking to your husband while he had the gun to your head, is that correct?
Yes.
And did you give him anything?
He took what money I had in my pocket.
I would object as non-responsive.
Sustained. You asked her whether she gave him anything.
That's right. Did you give anything to the defendant, Mr. Schmidt?
No, I didn't.
Did either Mr. Schmidt or Mr. Marvin take anything from you?
Yes.
Who took something from you?
This one here.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
This is Mr. Schmidt, the one here with the black hair you've been identifying.
Okay,
The other one is Mr. Marvin.
okay.
And what did Mr. Schmidt take from you?
He took $55
Where was that money?
in my back pocket.
And how did he take that from you?
He kept asking for money, and finally Richard just said, give him what money you have. And the money was in my back pocket, and he took it.
Did you tell him the money is in my back pocket, or how did that happen?
I had my hands tied behind my back, and I was reaching for it. And I guess he saw where it was, and he just took it.
You said you had your hands tied behind your back?
Yes.
How did your hands get tied?
He tied them.
Which one?
That one.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
the one with the black hair?
Yes.
Was that before or after he had the gun to your head?
After?
So I have this straight. He had the gun to your head and said to your husband to come in the house
And lay down on the floor.
and lay down on the floor?
Yes.
Did you both lay down on the floor?
Yes.
Was that before or after he took the money out of your pocket?
That was before.
So you were lying on the floor before he took the money out of your pocket?
Yes.
Did they tie your husband up also?
Yes.
What was used to tie you up, if you know?
My curtain
You say your curtain?
that he tore down.
Who tore down?
Him.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
What was Mr. Marvin doing at this time?
My face was on the floor. I did not notice.
Was Mr. Marvin in the same room near you?
He was in the same room with all of us.
Was there any conversation between the two of them that you remember?
No.
What happened after you were tied up and he took the money?
Some of my family had pulled up.
I'm sorry?
Some of my family had pulled up in 2 cars, and they said, there's 2 cars that just pulled up.
Who said there's 2 cars that just pulled up?
This one.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes, uh-huh.
What happened next?
They hit me and my husband with the gun and went out the back door.
You were hit in the head?
Yes.
Was this while you were lying down on the floor?
Yes.
Were you face down or face up?
Face down.
And who hit you in the back of the head, if you know?
I can't remember.
Mr. Schmidt or Mr. Marvin?
Yes.
She's pointing to Mr. Schmidt.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt hit you on the head with the gun?
Yes.
How hard did he hit you?
Pretty hard. I had to go to the doctor.
Which doctor did you go to?
I went to City Hospital.
Did you receive treatment?
Uh-huh.
Still have any problems with it?
No.
What type of injury did you receive? Do you know?
Just a cut back here.
Did you receive stitches for that?
I was supposed to, but they just put some butterfly bandages.
You said your husband was hit also.
Yes.
Did you see your husband get hit with the gun?
Yes.
Who hit him?
The same person that hit me.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Where did he hit him?
In the head, too.
Did you see an injury to your husband
He had a big lump on his head.
after he was hit with the gun?
Yes.
Did you see any other type of weapons?
I saw a knife.
I'm sorry?
A knife.
What type of knife did you see?
I don't know. I just saw the blade.
How long was the blade?
The whole knife altogether was 4 or 5 inches long.
That was with the blade open.
Uh-huh.
Who had the knife?
Mr. Schmidt.
Mr. Schmidt?
Uh-huh.
Was anything done with that knife?
Yes.
What was done with that knife?
He cut my husband on the neck on each side.
Was that while your husband was on the floor?
Yes.
Was he tied up at that time?
Yes.
Who did that?
Schmidt.
Did you see him cut your husband with the knife?
I saw the knife and I saw my husband bleeding, so I assumed he cut him with it.
Is Mr. Schmidt the only person you saw with the knife?
Yes.
So you didn't actually see him cut your husband?
I didn't see that, but I saw him with the knife, and then,
Mrs. Dodd, when Mr. Schmidt had the knife, did he have it in his hand?
yes,
Which hand, do you recall?
I don't recall.
Did he also have the gun at that time?
No, I think he handed it to the other man.
I'm sorry?
He handed it to the other man, I think.
You saw Mr. Schmidt hand the gun to Mr. Marvin?
I didn't see him hand it, but I saw Mr. Marvin with it
When did you see Mr. Marvin with the gun?
right before he cut my husband.